the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, and welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today, I am sitting down with Darlene. Darlene is from Norway, and the thing about Darlene is not an MS warrior like myself, but Darlene got a hold of me through social media, and she wanted to come on and talk about a condition that she has been dealing with her young life for about 12, 13 years. It is called endometriosis, and it is a female condition that women deal with throughout their life, and she wanted to come on and talk about it. Please welcome to the podcast, Darlene. How are you doing, Darlene?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I thank you so much for joining me and just spreading awareness just about other people's health conditions. Can you kind of explain to us what endometriosis is exactly and how it has affected your life?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your platform, on your podcast. It's a big privilege for me. Well, I will say endometriosis is one of the 20 most painful conditions. And to explain it shortly, or I'm trying to find the best way to explain it, is it's a condition that endometriosis tissues that is supposed to be growing inside the womb doesn't grow there, and it grows outside, causing pain. It affects the ovaries and the fallopian tube and the tissue lining of the pelvis. Yeah.
Okay, so this causes a lot of abdominal pains. And this is something that all women go through because you're going to go through your periods, and that's what is causing the pain, is that your body is not going through the period cycle the correct way. Is that right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. So how like being as young as you were when you were diagnosed with this and you started having problems with it, how have doctors like treated that for you at that young of an age? I'm just curious what's the treatment path of this?
Well, I actually never got treatment per se. I've just been dribbling life and figuring out things as I grow. So it's now that I'm actually 7 days post-operation laparoscopy surgery for endometriosis. So when I started my period, it was so painful, and everybody said, that's what your grandmothers went through. That's what our mothers went through. It's normal. When you give birth, it's going to be all right. So I just took it like, yes, I guess periods are the thing that's painful. And most of the girls that I know growing up had the same problem.
Yeah.
Sister doesn't have the sister that follows me actually doesn't have that problem. She gets her periods, no pain, nothing, all good.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a different experience. And so with time, when I now got to high school, I now started questioning, this can't be normal.
Yeah.
I get so much pain that I faint. I literally pass out. I have to be taken to the hospital and get some injection painkillers. because nothing's working. Paracetamol is just basically, I call it chewing gum.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then other symptoms started coming in, which now I found out 3 years ago is a symptom of endometriosis. I was diagnosed with osteoporosis in 2009. 2009, between 9 and 10. And osteoporosis is basically a sickness for, I would say, older people.
Right. Yeah. I've heard.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
brittle bones.
Yeah, I've heard of it mostly with, people that are in their maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, not 20 years old. That's crazy.
Yes, exactly. I was basically a teenager when I was diagnosed with osteoporosis. And because I had so much interest in health stuff from a young age, so I would just go and try to read. Like, but osteoporosis is like for older people.
Right.
How am I having this condition? I got treatment for that, but it would really didn't help. I got injections in my knee. Some days I would barely walk, and turns out it was a symptom because you have this sciatica, a nerve pain from the back, from your back,
Yeah.
all the way to the legs down. And mine is mainly on the right side. Sometimes I go numb.
Yeah.
So it was really a crazy
it's just
time.
It's just so crazy that, you're young, you're 28 years old and you're dealing with this. And like you said, you were comparing yourself to other women when you were growing up and they weren't going through that pain. And you were just like, no, something's not right. And were you going to doctors and were you like saying, hey, I have a lot of this abdominal pain and and I know that at a young age, a lot of women's dreams are to have families, have children. And one of the fixes for this is to actually have a hysterectomy, if I understand correct, right?
Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so normally most of the people or doctors, first thing they'll tell you, either have the pill or have a hysterectomy. But that's for a different condition called adenomyosis. It gets confused at times, which is very normal.
Okay.
We have not gotten much info about these conditions. Now, with endometriosis, when I first went, that was now when I moved to Norway, I went to a gynecologist private because I saw nobody's really taking me seriously.
Yeah.
And this lady said, you have signs and symptoms for adenomyosis. You may need a hysterectomy. You need to have kids as soon as possible. And she was giving me a span of 2 years. I wasn't even dating then.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where am I supposed to get a man and get a child at the same time?
And how old are you when this doctor's telling you this, Darlene?
I can't do the math, but I think I was 26, about 25, 26 then.
Yeah. And that just had to be such a strain on your mental health too. Being 24, 25, 26 years old and you got a doctor telling you if you want to have kids, you better have them now. And you're not even dating anybody. That's just something that I don't think a lot of people even understand. With that condition goes with it, mental issues.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's actually true. I was already struggling with my mental health. I just didn't have where to go. I tried to seek help, but it was so expensive privately. And I don't trust people that well. I have issues with that. So going to go to a therapist just around in the same area where I lived, I felt like maybe my issues are going to be spread somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I finally got diagnosed with depression and PTSD last year, September, which is almost the same time as I was diagnosed with endometriosis through an MRI scan. So this whole time I'm going through all of this, I was not yet diagnosed. I was just doing my research and everything, and I just concluded I have this condition.
Yeah.
By 2021, I just knew, I think I have endometriosis or adenomyosis, one of the two. But nobody is telling me anything. They just keep telling me, go get the pill.
Yeah.
Take the pill. Take the IUD. I had a very bad experience with that as well.
Yeah.
That messed my whole mental health. I was so emotional. I was pissed. Just a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And gaining weight unnecessarily, having a whole beard growing on my face.
Oh my.
As a lady, that's disturbing.
This is all side effects from the meds that they were putting you on.
Yes.
Oh my.
And when I try to talk to the doctors, they're like, no, it's just a small thing. It's okay. It's going to be all right. You just need to wait it out 3 months and it's going to be all right. I took the IUD. I fainted on the very first day it was inserted in. And the doctor just said to the receptionist, when she wakes up, tell her she's ready to go. I'm like, what? Okay. Well, I thought maybe that's how it works.
Yeah.
3 months down the line, I'm bleeding every single day. And doctors are telling me it's going to be all right after 3 months. It never stopped until I broke down at work and I had to get an emergency help to get it out. And the doctor who took it out was like, who is this person that doesn't, like, do their brains really function for somebody to have this in all this long and you're bleeding this much with pain? I was like, well, nobody listened to me. And that's where I was referred to somebody else.
Oh my God. That's just so sad that and it's like that everywhere, Darlene. I mean, you're in Norway and I hear the same things from people I talk to in the UK and I talk to in Northern Ireland and I talk to in the United States and Canada. It doesn't matter where you're at. It just seems like there are doctors that just don't want to listen. And, it takes us to advocate for ourselves to say, hey, no, you know what? I know my body. Something is not right. And it's just so frustrating. And I can just totally relate with you at such a young age. You're just trying to figure things out and you just want to try to live a normal life and a pain-free life. And you're just not getting answers. It's just frustrating.
Yes.
And a strain on your mental health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how are you dealing with it now at 28, now that you have your mind grasped around the diagnosis and, you've been dealing with it for 12, 13 years. How do you manage the pain that you're in and the mental health part of it?
Well, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay, so first things first, I take lots of teas. I take raspberry tea, I take dandelion, I have jujube. I found out on a Korean site where it's good for the womb and all that kind of stuff.
It's called what? It's called jujube. Okay.
Jujube. It's a red date. So the red dates, you put in goji berries and ginger and Korean pear and then boil it and then it makes a tea. And I drink that on a regular.
Wow.
Like at least before my period or after my period.
And you figured this out on your own just through your research and you actually get relief doing this. Yes.
At least I'm able to have a good flow sometimes for my period. The pain reduces and also it's doing something with the immune system because I don't remember the last time I had a flu. With everything that I've been taking, it's been a really long time. So I feel like there has been change since like my teenage years. I was always having a flu. I had asthma, obviously. It's gotten better over the years, but I always had flu. I'm always coughing. But with the research that I've been doing and changing my lifestyle when it comes to food, the food that I eat, then that also helped my immune system to be boosted. So I'm only fighting with the pain from the endometriosis and the fatigue that it comes with. Yeah. I get acupuncture and massage once in a while.
Oh,
And then I have some.
let's talk about that. That's an interesting technique for relief. I've heard about acupuncture. I have never tried it, but I have talked to people that have used it. And just tell me, like, what kind of acupuncture? Like, were they going in around your neck, or was it around your stomach? And what, like, just kind of explain that treatment to me. I'm just curious on it.
Okay. So first one I did was for my headaches, because I have migraines as well. A girl has too many problems.
Yeah, you know what? Guys got them
Yeah.
too, but you got too many problems. A 28-year-old, holy shit! But yeah, so okay, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. I want to hear about this acupuncture.
So I got the one for the headaches on my ear, and that one would last me like 3 weeks, like small pins that are pierced on my ear. You barely see them.
Okay.
They just fall off, and they're harmless actually. Then the other one that I normally get is like really, really long needles, and they're placed all over my body. So they get the pressure points that deal with the hormones and deal with soothing pain, relaxing the body, and all that kind of stuff. So on my ankles, my big toe, on my belly, and my back. The ones that are on my back, because I'm laying down, are pretty short, and then the ones on my neck, yeah.
How long?
And then on my hands.
How long do they keep those needles in when they insert them? How long are you laying there with them in?
Normally about 15 minutes, but my acupuncturist lets me lay there for like an hour.
Oh, okay.
He just lets me he comes and lets me just sleep, relax. You good. I got you. I'll go tend to another patient. You just stay here and chill.
Wow.
So I enjoy myself when I'm there.
That's really interesting. I've never done it, like I said, and I know that people are always searching for some kind of relief. You know, I mean, I go to a chiropractor because, you know, I got my pain in my legs, and he does adjustments on my back. And I mean, does he get the pain taken away completely? No, but it does take the edge off, and that's what we do. We just try to find tools, and I love that. I love that tool, and I've always been fascinated about it. But something about people sticking a bunch of needles at me. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't really hurt. The only part that I felt, I don't fear needles. I'm kind of like it. I just don't get scared of needles. I don't know how or why,
right?
But I'm just cool with them. The one that I felt was a bit like ow, was the one on my hand, just between my thumb and my pointing finger. That's where I felt like, oh, that stings a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. He says sometimes when your body's trying to say something, you will feel the pain in different places, and it's trying to report something in your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's sending a message.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I actually felt the pain, and somewhere on my ankle.
It's so interesting. Yeah. It's so interesting, though, you know, the way other people figure out ways to get relief. I'm just fascinated with that. So let me ask you this, Darlene. I know that you're young, and you said that you weren't even dating when that doctor said that to you. So let's talk about relationships, because I know that that's got to be a strain on your mental health too. And, you know, anybody that is dating or married to somebody with any kind of chronic disease, there's a lot of things to consider. You know, with me with MS, struggling walking, you know, people with Parkinson's or CRPS or POTS, the fatigue. How has this endometriosis affected your relationship? Because obviously we're talking about intimacy, and we're talking about you having like heavy periods and all that. So that has to have an effect on relationships too.
Yes, it definitely does. And this is something I was always fearing every time I try to get into a relationship, or when it ends, and I'm like, maybe because of this, Or am I not good enough? Will I ever meet somebody? And this is something that I've also been told by some people who know me. Maybe you'll never find somebody because you're sickly, you're always sick, and all that kind of stuff. And so I would meet people and go on a date, and first thing I mentioned, okay, so I'm going through this kind of thing. Are you ready to go through this with me? If not, it's okay. I have to just let you know. It's not contagious, but it's just the condition that I'm going through, and there's nothing much I can do about it. It's going to be a big, long journey. So if you're ready to sign up for that, then good. Yeah. And then 2 weeks on the line, this person is like, you know what? I don't think this is right for me. And then boom, we're broken up.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I can just imagine what kind of a mental toll that is on you. You know, anybody that's going through something like that they're willing to share what their health issues are with somebody that they have feelings for, and then that person just, you know, basically gets up and walks away, and that hurts. I know that's got to hurt.
It hurts. Yeah, it does. I don't know how many times I've cried, felt bad for myself because of this condition, and I wish, like, why is this me? Yeah. Then I try to remember there are other people obviously going through worse stuff than I am, and I just try to find ways to be happy and not surround my happiness on having a relationship. But then you obviously want to be with a companion. You want to be with someone who cares for you.
Right.
When I finally did find someone, and I am so grateful.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
If that happened to me.
That's so awesome, Darlene. I love you.
Yeah.
So he totally, he gets it. He understands. He's learning about it, and he's going through it with you. That is so awesome. Talk to me about how you met him and how he accepted when you did tell him.
Well, so we met online. I was like, okay, let me try online dating once again and see how this goes. Because I was just like, I'm tired of this whole texting people, trying to tell them it doesn't get anywhere.
Right.
So we finally met, and on the first day, I just felt very comfortable with him. You would think we'd known each other for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, so I have something else I want to tell you. And you know what's funny? Actually, before we met, 2 weeks before we met, I told him I'd cut my hair because I'd lost my hair because of this whole fiasco with this endo and medications back and forth. Yeah. So I cut my hair then, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell you, I look different right now because I cut my hair. The pictures you've seen is still me, but just with no hair.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, that's fine. Send me a picture. How do you look like? I'm like, this me. It's like, oh, you're pretty still. Come on.
Yeah.
So when we met, he was like, oh, you're prettier in person. I was like, oh, that's nice. I let him know what's going on. And he's like, yeah, you mentioned about losing your hair. Is that something like, are you dealing with cancer or anything? And I was like, no. One thing, obviously, he was obviously scared of because he had already lost his mom to cancer.
Yeah.
So this was something that we really had to talk about. And I mentioned it to him. I told him this and this. He had never heard of the condition. So he was really willing to learn. He started Googling stuff and like, oh, okay, I get this. It's not cancer, right? I was like, no, I'm not gonna die of it.
Right.
But this happened. Then he's like, okay, cool. So is that it? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, that's all? That's your problem? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm cool with that. I was like, what?
That's so
awesome. If it's not that you have to go through chemo or something, then that would be really sad. But I don't think this is going to be a problem for me.
That's so.
And so we go on. I was like, wow, God.
Yeah.
You just me an angel.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
That's just a beautiful story, Darlene. I love it. And that's just it's kind of similar to my story of how I met my wife. I mean, she lived in Tennessee for 15 years, which is about 8 hours. It's about 8 hours from me, so we never knew each other. And then when we both went through our divorces, we didn't know how to date. We were away from dating for so long, being we were in our 40s. and we both decided to go online at the same time, and that's how we met each other. And it's because we didn't give up. I mean, and you didn't give up, and
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that you found somebody, because there are people out there that get it.
Yeah.
When I first met my wife and I told her I had MS, she responded basically the same way your boyfriend did. She was like, "Okay, so what?"
Mhm.
And
Wow.
it made me feel good knowing that she was doing her research, trying to learn about this disease and asking me
Mhm.
questions. And it sounds like the same way with your boyfriend. Then that is just so awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you met somebody that actually gets you. That's your best friend.
Yeah,
And
it
I'm
is.
like, this is my best friend.
Yeah, it's just so important for our mental health just to have somebody that we can relate to, as far as just talking with and telling them we're having a bad day, and they're not going to like just judge us and say, "Oh no, you're lazy, you're this, you're that."
Mhm.
They just get it,
Yeah,
and it's so important for us.
it's really important that people with chronic illness need to be surrounded with people who get it, who take time to understand the situation their person is in, partner, sister, brother, cousin, friend. Try to do the research. How best can you help this person?
Yep.
And how best you can understand their situation? Because it's not like we want to be lazy. We want to do stuff.
Right.
I'm not working. I stopped working in November last year.
Yeah.
I don't know how it feels like to work again. I can't I can barely lift stuff.
Right.
I'm too tired all the time. So we really need that extra push that we're being cared for, that show us love, because we already are dealing with a lot
Yeah. Absolutely.
that nobody can understand. Nobody can see because it's inside.
Yep.
It's not
It
really
is.
on the outside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Darlene. I mean, spot on. It doesn't matter where we live. You're over there in Norway, and everything that you're saying, I totally agree with you. It is just so important. I don't want anybody to pity me. That's not
Actually.
in 27 years, I don't ask anybody to pity me, but I ask for people just to try to understand what I am dealing
Mm-hmm.
with every day.
Yes. Sympathize. Don't pity me. Don't feel sorry for me, but you just try to understand. Be kind. Be nice to me. I'm also nice because I know I'm a nice person.
I
So, and reciprocate it.
Yeah.
We just have to be nice to everyone either ways. It doesn't cost a thing.
Yep. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Darlene,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you, if you want to tell anybody out there that is in the same boat as you got young females that are, going through what you're going through with endometriosis, or even getting diagnosed with osteoporosis, just tell what kind of message do you have for them, how to advocate for themselves, getting this diagnosis, getting treatments, and how to deal with it. Just go ahead and anything you want to say, go ahead.
Um, I would like to say it's okay to ask for help, and always get somebody with you when you go to the hospital if you feel nobody's listening to you, because that extra person is gonna make a difference. And always let other people know. Like me being on social media and letting people know about this condition is helping somebody out there. And I've noticed it because I'm getting DMs. And I also got help by people who decided to share their stories. So don't be shy. Don't feel bad for yourself. There's a community out there that is there for you, or will stand by you if you need support. And you're good. You're strong. You're courageous. You got this.
I love it. I love it, Darlene. And I just want to agree, and reiterate the point how important community is. And,
Mm-hmm.
the community that I found on TikTok with multiple sclerosis
Yes.
and people with other chronic diseases or conditions like you,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important just to communicate with those people, because those are the people that understand what we're going through, and,
Exactly.
And I find a lot of help with my mental health, just having that community. It is very important. And if anybody wants to follow you on TikTok, I'll put it in the description. But what is your tagline on TikTok or any other social media you want to put out, Darlene?
Instagram and TikTok, basically. I use the same names on Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll put them in the description. What are they? Is it Darlene?
Yes, Darlene Mole. Some people pronounce it as Smugho, but it's not. It's Mole.
Yep, I got it. And I will put that in the description. And I really thank you so much for coming on my podcast with me, Darlene, and just spreading awareness about other conditions. Because this isn't just about MS and you know, what I'm going through. I want people to have a voice just to talk about what they're dealing with. It's their experience. And I appreciate you for having the courage to talk about something like this to a guy especially, but you're a young 28-year-old beautiful lady, and you just want to be heard about what you are dealing with in your young life, and I really appreciate you for that, Darlene.
Thank you so much. I mean, I would like somebody not to feel alone. If you're out there, you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're here. I'm here. Brian's here.
I'll listen. I'll listen to anybody. I'll help anybody through any kind of situation they're going through. I mean, it's just we're a community, and we pick each other up when we're down, and that's what I love about you know, just the chronic warrior community is awesome.
Yes, I love it. I love it in there. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. All right, Darlene, thank you so much for joining me. I also want to remind everybody you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram, MS Michigan Man 64. And you can also find me on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and you can check me out on my next episode. This is the MS Michigan Man 64. I am out.